Record. Hello, Drew. Hello.
Drew.
Hey, Drew.
Drew.
Hi.
I apparently have to say something to Drew as well, I think.
Future Drew. Space Drew.
Oh, okay.
Space Drew.
The bunny man.
He's way, way out there.
I get so mad.
All right. So everybody jump in at 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Four.
Nice. Nice and tight today. Nice and tight. Okay. You got everything you need there, Wes Pano?
Standing by for podcast.
All right, here we go. In a 3, in a 2. Thank you, Drew. Hello, friends, and welcome back to your weekly Linux talk show. My name is Chris.
My name is Wes.
And my name is Brent.
Hello, gentlemen. Well, coming up on the show today, it does seem to be the storage apocalypse. It's here, it's real, and an old friend's going to drop by to talk survival strategies as prices explode. And then we've got an unapologetically 90s approach to stretching your current storage. Sometimes the old way of doing things still makes sense. They're going to round it out with some boosts, some picks, and a lot more. So before we get there, let's say time-appropriate greetings to our virtual lug. Hello, Mumble Room.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Wes. And hello, Brent.
And let's say hello to that old friend from Tux Digital and This Week in Linux, Michael Tennell's back. Hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody.
It's good to see you. I know that...
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to see you for our predictions episode because you were under the weather. But you're back.
I got sick and could not speak, so that was a bummer. Because I enjoy being the referee, you know?
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll pick it back up next year. But it's good to see you.
Maybe never.
And I think we could chat in just a moment on a couple of those predictions. I mean, we might have them here, so if we wanted to look at them in a moment, we could. Before we get there, I want to say good morning to our friends over at Defined Networking. Go check out Managed Nebula at defined.net/unplugged. Now, you want a beautiful mesh VPN network these days. Everybody knows that because the benefits are incredible. I mean, you can connect data centers across multiple different providers and regions, your mobile devices, your workstations, your development machines, your production machines, and you can create all kinds of privacy with this that is just absolutely unbeatable. I mean, I think people understand that. But which one is actually the right one to choose? And I say you have to check out defined.net/unplugged. It's a decentralized VPN built on the open source Nebula project. It's all open source. It's top to bottom. If you want to self-host every single component, it will always be that way because that's how they build it. You want to know what features coming down the road? Go watch the development right there out in the open on GitHub. And then later on, if you decide, I want to completely take this over myself, you absolutely can, including some of the essential services. But what I think is great is they offer the Managed Nebula product. So you can get started. They host the tough stuff. They do all of that. And later on, if you want to own the authentication and you want to own the discovery and all of that, you absolutely can. Nebula's decentralized design means there's no single point of failure. There's nothing that can happen like on their back end because you can host everything. And when you're building something that you want to last 5 years, 10 years, you got to think about that. It was also from the get-go designed to manage Slack's global infrastructure. So you know it's tight, it's powerful. It's super advanced. I could tell you all about it, but I think you should go check it out. You can get 100 hosts for free. No credit card required. No lock-in. Defined.net/unplugged. You start with that, then later on you want to go set up your own lighthouses? You absolutely can. There's no problem. There's no conflict there where you're like part of a big sales funnel. Like, it's such a great thing because we have heard from so many people out there that deployed it, and they absolutely have been thrilled. And probably going to have a little bit more from my end next week. So check it out. Go get started. Support the show at defined.net/unplugged. And a big thank you to defined.net for sponsoring the Unplugged program. Gentlemen, we are on like Donkey Kong for Planet Nix. Get ready. We're going. Phlox is helping make it possible again this year. You know, Phlox, they're focused on making reproducible dev environments actually usable. And they're facilitating our trip and Planet Nix. We will have a meetup. I think year 2 is going to be fantastic. The call for papers for Planet Nix ends very soon, January 15th. So if you're listening to it when this comes out, you got a few days. Jan 15th. We'll put a link in the show notes. To attend Planet Nix, you need to register for Scale. So we'll put a link in there too. We have a promo code. The promo code is UNPLUGGE, UNPLG, UNPLUGGE, and you'll get 40% off your ticket.
And the remaining value goes to support one of the best open source conferences out there.
Yeah, and you get access to both Planet Nix and Scale.
And the expo hall and all the other talks. There's a lot.
Unplugged, UNPLG. We'll have a link to that. We want to see you there. This, I think year one of Planet Nix. Is this a thing? Is this possible? Can they pull this off? Establish it, yes. Did people like it? We loved it. All right, we're doing it again. Now, this year, I think it's going to be a lot about building things, talking to people, like people who don't normally sit in the same room together, but also still use the same stuff they create. A lot of that. And I think it's also going to just pull them or just lead right into a great scale. So why not make it to both? And then just shortly after that, Linux Fest Northwest. April 24th to the 26th, back at the Bellingham Technical College in the original large expo room.
Oh.
Back in the nice area. It's all fixed up. And the Linux Fest Northwest call for papers ends tomorrow at midnight. Monday, January 12th at midnight. So get it in. No promo code for Linux Fest Northwest because it's free. Although you can give them a little donation if you want to help support a great event. We'll have links to the Linux Fest Northwest call for papers as well. So there you go. Planet Nix and Scale. That's happening in March 5th through the 6th in Pasadena, California. We'd love to see you there. And then a little bit after that, Linux Fest Northwest, April 24th through the 26th. Things are shaping up to be a beautiful spring, a warm, beautiful spring in the Pacific Northwest. And then they're saying a hot summer. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
Yeah. We got a Nino transition. It's fading out, of dominance, as they say.
Uh-huh.
Which means it should be a beautiful Linux Fest Northwest. So we'd love to see you.
Plenty
at
of time
both
to
those.
plan, right? Come on, we're telling you now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And all the lazy links are in the show notes. Well, I just wanted to say a big welcome back to Michael. It's nice to see you, sir. Thank you again for making it.
Thanks for having me.
Would you love to go back in time and see how you did? I mean, would you just love it? Would you just be
I would
thrilled?
love it. Actually, I don't remember most of what I said. I remember one of them, and I think I was right. And the other ones I don't remember at all.
I mean,
How convenient.
I did. I don't remember them specifically, but when we were prepping for the episode, I reviewed them, and I think you did okay.
Yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
All right,
yourself.
so here
Nice.
was Michael's first prediction for 2025.
I predict that the Cosmic Desktop from System 76 will make at least a release candidate version available in 2025.
I mean, they made that.
I was very right.
Nice.
Not bad.
I forgot about that one entirely.
And,
You're too
that
busy playing with Cosmic.
that only really came later
Exactly.
in the year. Came later in
Yeah,
the
it was
year.
like the 3 weeks before the end of the year. And then nice.
Yeah. All right, here was prediction number 2 for 2025.
I predict that the Linux desktop market share will become 5% some point this year.
I think that one was right, too, right? Like everything we can measure it
Yeah.
with seems like that
Seems
was
like it
accurate,
hit.
which is great.
Yeah, I was super shocked because that's the one I remembered. I was like, because I remember saying because it was expected to go to 4, and I was like, you know what, I'll just do 5 anyway. And then that actually happened. It's like, wow, how was I right? Okay, awesome.
Well, you know what I want to know is, do you have a prediction for 2026?
I should, but in terms of market share, I think it's going to go up to. I'm going to go ahead and say an extra 2% and say 7.
All right. I like that. That was bold. All right, are you ready for your third and last prediction?
Yes.
Here we go.
I predict that in 2025, KDE will release a specific desktop operating system of their own, regardless of what it's named, KDE Linux or not, and it will be at least at a beta release level.
Now, I don't know. I don't know if they've actually hit beta, have they?
No,
They're
I
close.
think I was wrong on that one. I think they hit alpha, not beta.
Right. And
That's a bummer.
Do you
I almost got perfect.
Yeah, really. Okay, here's just a bonus prediction. Do you think they'll hit a 1.0 in 2026?
I think towards the end of the year, maybe. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but I think they've
under the
made
wire?
a lot of progress. I think they've made a lot of progress enough where they could get to the November, December era.
Yeah. I hope so.
Although, didn't I see they're doing some debates about sort of the underpinnings and should they stick with their Arch sort of inspired thing or adopt other?
Oh.
Yeah. I think that there's actually potential where they could, do a combination of things. So a lot of the effort in the Universal Blue project is super interesting because there's some effort to make it distroless, and that by that meaning it doesn't matter what it's sitting on top of. Like you could switch out the underneath, fairly easily. Like just how you can, like image mode, you can switch the desktops really quickly. It would be possible to switch Arch to Fedora or back and forth.
Rebase the base.
Yeah, but also the user could do it.
Rebase
like not even like
That's
just all you have to do is set up the image mode to have that compatibility, and it'd be theoretically possible to
swap
do that
layer out.
So that could also solve that problem. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be interesting? I'm just thinking about the way OEMs could use that. I think the last 10% of KDE Linux is going to be the toughest. So that it might push a 1.0 out till Q1 of 2027. And
honestly, I
don't think
feel
that'd
like it might be a 1.0 that's not a 1.0.
Oh, could be, yeah. Could be. I mean,
so like it's, for example, Cosmix 1.0 was not really ready. Like it's cool. There's a lot of good stuff, but there's still some pretty noticeable bugs that would not really count as a 1.0 in that sense. But
and in our space, there is some value to getting it out there in front of users and starting to get that feedback.
Yeah, I also just feel like the idea of the 1.0 is, like the version number mattering is like antiquated and no longer matters. Like it's like when people talk about like the next version of Linux, like Linux 7 is going to come out sometime soon, and they're like, well, why is it going to 7? Well, arbitrary number count. Like, who cares? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like they actually choose it for any particular reason. It's just because they're tired of being 6. So now it's 7.
They choose it because Wes predicted it. That's usually how it goes.
Well, that also helps too, yeah.
Back in my day, a point release was like a sign of perhaps a compatibility break or a major new feature set. And it's just sort of lost its meaning in that sense.
Yeah, and the major minor bugs thing is gone too. Like some people use it, but it also doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So like Ubuntu helped create that to go away with the dates. Mm-hmm. So now we have like the major minor, but it's really just like it's an update. Who cares?
Yeah, I wonder one day we'll have Linux 2810, Linux, whatever, whatever we'll have. All right, well, we are gathered here today because we, as a world of technology enthusiasts, are faced with the plight of incredibly high storage prices. I really missed the boat on this one. I don't know how many of you are feeling this way, but I, of course, if you guys remember, we were talking about low power home labs towards the end of last year, started around October, November. Boy, should I have bought then. So I did a little digging before the show, guys, and it's real bad out there. So the worst price increases seem to be in like the kind of nicer SSDs and NVMEs in the 2 terabyte and up range. I don't see a lot of punishment in the 1 terabyte, but for example, the Western Digital Black SN850X 2 terabyte drive is up 80% since October.
Ooh.
Since October.
Yeah, that's not 10%. That's not 20%.
No.
Over 50%.
And because I'm in a moving vehicle, I was looking for solid state. So I at first had my eye on an 8 terabyte NVMe, which would be just enough. And that thing went from...
that sounds expensive already.
Yeah. But I think it was like $700, $800. And now it's between $1,400 and $1,600, depending on the vendor.
That's brutal.
Wow.
And the other thing is
do I want a laptop or a hard drive?
The number of vendors even supplying to the consumer market is less. I did a little comparison shopping on Camel of SSD vendors selling 2 terabyte drives back in October, and there were probably 30 of them. And now there's 2. So it's brutal out there. And it's just gone from something that was kind of cheap to just this precious commodity. Obviously, because enterprise data centers, those types of AI jobs, they're all eating up storage. They're buying inventory before they've even, been produced. Some of these vendors are making exclusivity deals with these larger data centers to provide them with, their storage chips. So I think each one of us have probably been thinking about this problem a little bit. I don't know if anybody, we always are our storage needs are always growing. So I thought we'd go around the horn and kind of talk about if we had any ideas for sort of stretching out or getting cheap storage for 2026, maybe even into 2027. Some of the things I was looking at here suggest we already have back orders now on the books up to 24 months from the AI data centers. And so they are going to be filling the data center inventory for 24 months at least, and that's the existing back. Now, some of that might get canceled if things decline or whatever, but the projection is at least until 2027, we're going to have a massive crunch in storage prices. And so, Michael, do you have any thoughts on like ways to stretch your existing storage or cheap storage acquisition strategies? Are you going to be shucking USB disks? Like,
do you have any hard drives we can have?
So actually, as you were talking about it,
you got
I
any
was
that
thinking
storage,
about
man?
And you got that sweet storage. I was actually thinking about it as you were describing this problem, and I was thinking like, at this point, SSDs are probably around the same, or if not more value than gold. Yeah. So I was thinking like, maybe I should sell some of my SSDs, and get some like some 5-year-old SSDs are now worth double what they were or whatever. And but it's actually kind of funny because I was, debating whether or not I should upgrade my hard drives for my NAS, because I recently got a bigger NAS. So like I had a 4-bay and now I have an 8-bay. And then I was thinking like, okay, I need to, figure out a time where I need to get some more drives. And then I looked at the price and was like, you know what? I can wait a little bit. I'll come back into it like a couple months. And then the storage price hit.
Same.
And it's completely destroyed all plans. So like I'm now, not only I'm not even using that new bay anymore. I'm still using the old 4-bay, just because it's not worth even bothering to move the stuff. And now I'm just in the process of like figuring out, like it used to be, storage is cheap. I'll just get whatever I need and then I'll just keep everything. Now I'm just deciding whether I want to keep the stuff or not. Like some of the stuff I've had for 20 years, and I've never looked at it ever, because I had a rule. I don't anymore. I've already established this, and I've pulled the trigger on this situation to save my storage. And I used to have a philosophy of like everything I create as a creative person in graphic design and everything, I keep everything.
Yeah, totally.
And
that, right? You don't want to have it like later. You're like, I had that. I made that. I burned hours of my life investing in creating that to throw it away when I could have just had that one more FLAC file. Come on. Exactly.
And also it's like, it goes back to when I was doing graphic design. So I have like all the PSD files and I have everything. So I have the completed project and the source project and everything. And I've gotten to the point where now, so some of that stuff I still keep, even if it's super old, just because of like, I just want it. But when it comes to video and doing like video on YouTube and, the podcasting and stuff, and there's just so much data that takes up. And I was thinking like, have I ever gone back and done a montage of like previous episodes or anything? Have I ever used that stuff? And no, I have not. So I just basically deleted half of the storage, and now I actually have the NAS available to use again.
Yeah,
because I was super close to having nothing on no storage on the NAS, and now I have like half of it back. So I'm actually kind of happy I did that, because I would have just bought new storage. I'm not saying that it's good that this happened, that forced me to do this, but I am happy that I've kind of gotten past this threshold of like not holding on to everything, because I'm a very minimal person in reality, but in terms of digital hoarder, I'm very much a digital hoarder. So
I think
it kind of helped me there.
It is really easy to slip into digital hoarding, and just you save everything and you constantly are adding to it more and more, which is kind of fun, but gets very expensive right now. So I'm kind of not with like project files, but I'm on the other end of. I spent probably the last 5 years being I'll just delete it guy. And then a few months ago, I was starting to plan for my daughter's birthday, and I wanted to show her this movie that I had deleted, but I figured, what's the big deal? I'll just download it again. Could not actually find a working way to get it again. And so I went and bought the DVD and ripped it, and started thinking, there's a few things started going through my library thinking there's a few things that I rip by hand that I either think are better quality or like I can't necessarily find an easy way to find them again online. And I started thinking maybe there is some stuff I do want to keep forever. And then if that's the case, I got a real problem here because I'm already almost out of storage. And there is some stuff I absolutely will delete, but there are some things I want to keep.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same place. Like I have been trying to keep. I haven't, not for the last few years, but before that I was moving around a lot, and it was just like, didn't make sense to have a giant NAS keeping everything. So I've kind of been pruning, but you're right. We're entering now a digital landscape where I've been thinking about it for like with the, I don't know if you've seen some of the numbers people are passing around for like the death of Stack Overflow.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of stuff on there. Not that it isn't elsewhere, but especially even for some things like there's like the math overflow part. There's some nice write-ups or ways that people express things or taught things, just things that I've kind of always relied on existing out there in the internet, whether it be on the media side or just on the information side, that we're getting to a new era. And it seems like a lot of that stuff, some of it will be kept, some of it will hit the Internet Archive, but a lot of it just won't. And if I don't take action and have some dedicated storage for it, it might just vanish.
Yeah. And then I've also digitized more things with paperless and whatnot, which also brings in backups to this, Brent. And I don't know if you thought much about this, but with storage going up, it makes strategies like, oh, I'll just buy another hard drive. I'll buy this hard drive, copy everything over, and then send it off site. Well, maybe not with the expense now.
Yeah, I mean, that was my strategy up till now. And now I'm thinking, holy, I got to get my act in gear. Because, if I all of a sudden decide I have to move to like used drives, for instance, I don't know. You tell me if I'm right or not, but that feels like the risk is higher. So maybe I do need extra base.
Well,
in my
honestly,
NAS,
Brent,
and maybe I do need to have a better RAID system, and maybe I do need more offsite backups.
Used drives
because hard drives going to fail.
Used drives are getting more expensive too. I did a little eBay spelunking, trying to find a cheap. And you'll save money, but like you said, you don't know the quality, and they're still not as cheap as they used to be.
And here I thought 2026 was naively going to be the year I finally got a proper backup system for my folks going.
I know. So yeah, Brian, it's like not even used storage. I don't know.
I do have a bunch in my basement that I could probably get back out of the ice.
Slam it all into a scary raid,
I think the worst part is that now this whole thing has happened, and I have just a few sitting over here for drives that I've done for testing of like distros and stuff, that even they're 256 gig or 512 gig, and they're now looking super appealing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, I actually have stuff I can use, even though it's super tiny too.
I know. I was looking at like SATA controllers with like 8 ports on them. I'm like, I could slam one of these in and just attach a bunch of random drives and then just smash it all together. And then one of them will eventually pop, but...
All right, you get a bunch of Raspberry Pis, and then you plug in a bunch of sort of USB expanders, and then you put in a bunch of flash drives, and then you put that all into a Ceph cluster.
Right.
And then you just store everything there.
Well, why not cut out the middleman and get a USB hub and just attach a whole bunch of SD card readers all to the USB hub?
Good point, yeah.
Those
are so thin, right? Like, it'll stack well.
Yeah, it's essentially solid.
I would assume this is all, hard drives and memory and SSD is all being consumed by like the, AI push, right?
The big machine, yeah.
But I was thinking about this a little bit more this morning, and they're going to be pushing their hard drives out of the pipeline at some point, right? They're not just going to hoard every single hard drive that they're using. So
I feel like they're going to destroy them, though. Like, they're going to use them to a degree. Like, like the crypto miners made the GPUs worthless. I feel like they're going to make their drives worthless.
Yeah. Although, like, some vendors may have an age-out strategy. You could still see, I could still see, even if not all of them, if only, say, 30% of them made it on the market, in the used market, there are outlets that specialize, and that's one of the ones I looked into, by the way, is there are outlets that specialize in, they go buy them from the data centers and guarantee they wipe everything, and they have a whole contract, and then they resell them in bundles, massive bundles. So that could be a thing.
The nice thing too with some of this, right? Unlike GPUs, if it was cheaper, you could also, if it was cheaper but sketchier, you could up the redundancy, right?
Oh, true.
I'm going to build 2 arrays.
Yeah.
I'm going to have double copies because I don't really trust either of them, and I don't want to do a giant.
So that could be a future thing where used storage comes down, but as of right now, it's still pretty expensive and you're rolling the dice. So it's sort of a double whammy.
There's also something to be said for not every single AI company that's buying all this stuff up right now because they somehow have free money is going to survive. So we might see these big splashes of hardware just hitting the used market all of a sudden. So if you're looking, you might be able to find that stuff. I don't imagine it'll be a constant stream of what we want to be consuming in terms of hardware, but it might happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they might not all be consumer end products, but if you're okay dealing with SaaS or whatever, it might work. But I do think there is something we can do about it, because there is an area of the market that these data centers are just not gobbling up. They have no interest in. It still provides a good means of storage.
You're talking about magnetic tape.
I looked at that. I did. If anybody knows a place to find a tape drive that's reliable for under $500, let me know. But all the ones I saw.
Floppy disks.
Floppy disks, yes. Now, here's what I'm thinking. The solution comes from the 90s, and that's optical media. We channel our inner 90s kids, and I think we look back at optical media. I think it holds the solution. And so, gentlemen, I have been inspired, and I have an idea. Oh, join crowdhealth.com. Let's go over there. Give them a little boost. Go give them a pump. Join crowdhealth.com.
That's a fast-loading website.
Yeah. This might be their last spot, too, I think. Join crowdhealth.com. Could be their last Sunday boost, so go give them a good one. You never know. Brentley, I got a little setup there. You see that there? You see that?
The heck?
We got a little setup. We can get going.
Oh, sorry, I'm a little distracted. I have this website up called Server Part Deals.
Ah, really? Server part deals. I wonder if I see this one.
Don't mind
You
me.
weren't supposed
Can we
to
take
have access
another
to the internet when you
intermission?
were...
Yeah. Brent needs to do a little shopping.
Oh, we just stream that. You got to share your screen, and we'll do like a QVC
I'm
thing.
down for
Hey,
that.
I'd be into that.
Less than 10 terabytes. See, I don't need to be a hog. 8 terabytes. Oh, these are spinning. See, I need solid just because I'm in an RV. Ah, here we go. Oh, sold out.
Yeah, of course.
They're all sold out. They're all of them. Oh, dang.
Oh, darn.
Like, we
right.
thought we found a solution, but no,
Yeah.
not even
No,
close.
sorry.
The sequel for them was easy, right? They just had to update all to be
Really?
sold out. And then
Jeez, the time to rush would have been November, December. That was the time to rush in.
I was
whole
thinking
chat
about it
room
over the
seems so
summer.
bad.
I was just lazy.
All right, don't forget to bang
right.
suggest chat room. All right, you ready, Brentley? Are you ready?
All good.
Okay, here we go. In a 3, in a 2. Hello?
Hi. Chris, I'll admit when I first heard you talking about this idea, I thought it was pretty crazy because I thought we had left those little spinning things of plastic behind. Like, I have a drawer full somewhere, though, if you need some. But now after doing a little research, I kind of see where you're going with this. It's, I'm feeling a little nostalgic from the 90s times.
It is fun. It does have some nostalgia. Physical media, it's back. It's still a thing, and it's cheap. So the seed oil of this idea was after last week's Linux Unplugged, Wes and I were checking out the DVD drive that I bought to restore or re-rip stuff from the original DVD since I deleted it and then wanted it back. And we were checking it out, and I needed something to test it with, and I wanted to see if it worked with Linux and see if the USB bus could power it enough and all this. So I'm searching the whole frickin' studio, and I cannot find any physical media. I'm like, wow. In my mind, I can picture where I used to store DVDs, but of course, that was a decade ago. So I find an old CDR in a box of old studio stuff. And it's something I burnt a long time ago, and it's like data backup on there. And I vaguely recall doing this. So I bring it in, pop it in the new drive, and it mounts, and I see it, and I start looking at the contents on there. And it's a backup of the Office 2000 installer.
That's right. Oh, that was so good.
I burned this CDR in early 2000, 26 years ago.
And it was just there, sitting, waiting this whole time.
Just worked perfectly.
No way.
And it struck me as, well, that's about as best case scenario as I can expect, right?
Now, admittedly, we didn't try installing.
No, we didn't checksum it. That's true. We didn't try installing Office 2000, but it just got me thinking, like, wow, that really held up. And then throughout the week, I realized, well, this DVD drive can burn Blu-rays. And then I started thinking, well, let's go take a look at this. I'm running out of storage. Well, you can buy a 50 gigabyte Blu-ray disc. In fact, you can buy a pack of 10 50 gig Blu-ray discs for $18. You can buy 100 discs at Newegg for under $160. So on the low end,
They'll
that's
manufacture them? I
Yeah, man.
don't believe this.
so say you get that Newegg deal, right? you're essentially buying usable storage, about 4.6 terabytes of usable storage. And so that works out to be about 3 cents a gigabyte. You could, of course, get an SSD but those are pretty expensive. So you can buy these bundles of Blu-ray discs at 50 gigs a pop. I mean, it's going to take a while, but this is like an area that the data centers don't care about. They're not driving these prices up. And then you have something that could potentially sit on a shelf for 26 years. And if you ever needed it back.
I mean, so I guess you got to go through the effort of doing the burning.
Yep.
And maybe the restoring or the validating.
And don't lose it.
Yeah.
And don't forget what files on what
and
disk.
probably ideally you want to make sure you've got it in some sort of storage where it's not going to get scratched and, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, I remember the eras, like I remember copying stuff for friends, etc. Like I have gone through the motions of burning a fair amount of discs, right?
Yeah.
So like it is doable, and you're probably using the computer anyway. So like you kind of just do it while you're doing other things.
And if you do it right, like in the case of this CDR I backed up in the year 2000, if it's just files on a file system and you don't require some specific app to like decrypt and restore it, then future you can just drag and drop the files when you want to restore it, when you want them. Maybe you only want one file or something like that.
But that does bring
also
up keeping track of like
there is that.
Because if you're gonna have it, like the units are smaller, right? So you'll have more units, and so if you don't do a good job labeling or whatever, then you're like, well, where's I need the photos from which year?
Yeah.
We also have much better compression algorithms these days than we used to. So I feel like you could fit even more info on those than you're comparing. Yeah.
That's very true. So I set out to find a tool to help me achieve this job. How hard could this be, right? I looked at Borg backup. I looked at Bacula too, considering maybe I would actually just accomplish this with a traditional backup tool, because you bring up a good point, Wes, is like the key thing is, say my kids come to me 2 years from now and they say, Dad, we want to watch X. And, well, how the hell do I know out of these 15 Blu-rays where that one file is?
Right.
And if you're backing up a TV series, it could be larger than 50 gigabytes or something like that.
It's even worse if it's a bunch of small files. You're like, oh, I need where did I put the taxes for this year?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, because paperless is also another thing in here and all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I could not find a tool, so I have made a tool. And it is called Blue Vault. That's right. It's a Rust-based app, a TUI with sort of an 80s theme for managing Blu-ray archives. And the basic idea is you attach a USB Blu-ray burner, which are like $50 these days, US dollars. You bring up this TUI, and it walks you through archiving individual folders to a Blu-ray disc. And it supports 25 gig, 50 gig, and 100 gigabyte discs. I just this morning added multi-disc architecture, so that's very new. So there's 2 different releases. Release 1 is single-disc architecture. Release 2 is multi-disc architecture. It generates a table of contents and a SQL database where all of the files are. It does a SHA-256 sum and a CRC-325 sum of all of the files, so you can verify them later. It offers 2 different burn methods, burns directly to Blu-ray or just create an ISO image. And it has an optional QR code generator, so if you wanted to label the disc or the jewel case with a QR code, you could. It has a verify mode, which is very nice. It also will do a dry run if you just want to go through a dry run. It's using like rsync on the back end and a bunch of standard Linux burning tools. So really, I just created a TUI to set on top of this. And the TUI has a phosphorus green, high contrast, black on green, but it's easy to read. Like the stuff you're supposed to look at's obvious and highlighted. Monospace type. It's really nice. Subtle animations. And one of the things I worked on, although it's not perfect, is I really tried to constantly give you as much feedback, because there's some processes that are just like when you're generating a shot, like it can take a little bit in the background, right? Or if you're moving an MKV file to a Blu-ray, it can take a little bit. So I've tried to give the UI as much responsiveness and updates as to what it's doing as possible. And then the thing I just added this morning, well, technically late last night, is the multi-disc archive. Because obviously you're going to have issues where you want to back up something that's larger than 50 gigabytes or something like that. And so what I'm trying to do here is preserve the folder integrity. So it's not doing like a par split or something like that where it's lumping them all up and splitting them. It will err on the side of potentially wasting a little space on a Blu-ray in order to keep all the files just accessible on the file system. And then it does sequential folder naming, so you know where everything's at, and this is disk 2, this is disk 1. And then, like I said, it also has a SQLite database that tracks the multi-disk sets for you, which you can then search against later on.
Wait, okay. So it's not splitting files or anything.
No, it's just kind of looking at the map and being like, okay, I can fit this season on this disk, but a few episodes are going to have to go on this other disk, and I'll properly label that in the file system, but you're going to probably waste a few gigs on this disk. But the idea being that in the future, you could just put that in, mount it, and just drag and drop the files. You don't need any particular app to restore it.
And then is it like
Nice.
thought of differently in the app? Is that later like the multi-disk thought of as a single unit when you're like listing all of your disks, or
So then,
it knows that they're at least connected in the database?
yes, exactly. And there's two paths in the app right now. There's the single disk route, which is really simple, and then there's the multi-disk route. And then if you do the multi-disk route, then the database knows, okay, this was a multi-disk entry, and just stores it that way. It's a Rust app too, which is fun, and it's the first Rust app I've ever created. I've tried to be considerate about storage space too, so when the job is successful, it'll clean itself up. And there's also just a menu option in the TUI to just do a cleanup, because from time to time, it's going to generate temporary files to stage them for the Blu-ray, because I've experimented with a couple of different ways. So I bought myself a 10-pack of Blu-rays thinking I was going to use that 10-pack to back up my data. No. I used that 10-pack to do test after test after test for this app. I blew through an entire 10-pack of Blu-rays. So I haven't completely tested the multi-disc functionality.
But it does dry runs, you said.
Yeah, so we'll do dry runs, but of course to fully test I need to actually burn. But yeah, and it will do some testing to make sure everything's working, and if it looks like it won't work, it'll try to warn you. And if you have any missing dependencies, because there's a couple apps you have to install, it'll attempt to warn you. But yeah, it was an interesting endeavor. And I think my end goal has been accomplished in that I could either plug the drive into my NAS, my Odroid, or I could plug it into my workstation, and I can run this on either space. And you just sort of set it and forget it. And when you go to the multi-disk mode, it'll just go through the work, and it'll pop the disk out when it's ready for the next one, tell you what to label. You pop the next disk in, and it'll start continuing the archive. And just write it across the disk.
I got to try. I tried I got a preview of the single disk mode, so I've been playing with that one. I have not yet tried multi-disk, because you just put it in last night.
I have no idea if it even build on your machine. Yeah. Because not only that, but there's like a lot of UI updates I did too. So it's like, we'll see. But I would love some help with it, because I think, there's a couple of little naggly bugs, but the basic functionality is there. It's GPL2. It's really easy to pick up everything, super documented, the architecture, the commit, the development, the directory structure, everything is there. So you could just sort of pick up and keep running with it if you would like. I saw you submitted a pull request.
I did, yeah. So it turns out that you mentioned kind of what it looks like, but you have added a theming system.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd add a new theme for you.
You told me to wait for the show. A hot dog theme.
Hot dog thing.
Yes, very
Classic Windows 3.1 hot dog stand.
I do like the. I kind of like it. I do like it. Yeah, well, because I kind of decided to lean into the 80s retro theme, but then I thought some people might find that really obnoxious. So you can actually override it at runtime, or there's a little config file too where you can set the theme. That's way more obnoxious than mine, and I love it. So,
well, it's serious business when you're doing your backups, right? So, like, you want it to be bright with warning and emergencies.
Last night I got a warning from myself, like, hey, I made a PR, but don't look at it or merge it until the show.
And also, if there is about the 80s, maybe they're like really big into Hulkamania. That's perfect.
Yeah, it does. It is the Hulk colors. You're right. I never really connected those two things. Yeah, so Blu-ray is in the 90s, right? But the optical storage is very much a retro thing. And I will full on admit I got a little tinge of delightful nostalgia the first time I took the wrapper off the spindle, opened up the spindle, pulled a Blu-ray off, and put it in the drive. And I held it there in my hand. And I'm like, this is actually fun.
You had the wheels around all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the idea of like, the style of these optical drives, it seems antiquated, but at the same time, there are still massive uses for it, like really good uses. And if you get like the M-disc type of stuff where they claim to have like 1,000 years of longevity, it is a legitimate solution for storage of data. And especially if it's data that you're storing for the sake of movies are TV shows or that kind of media where you don't need access to it at all times, the solution through these kinds of discs is actually like probably even better because you're not wasting, really quick access stuff.
Yeah.
And so now I've actually thought about this like a couple years ago, and now you've convinced me that I want to actually implement this.
And like a jewel case, a little Blu-ray jewel case doesn't take up a lot of room.
I was going to ask, are you going to do that? Are you going to
or do like
you could get covers, or do they still make those discs where you could like draw images on the top?
These ones do that, like with the inkjet like template thing, which is so cool. Oh man. Yeah. So Blue Vault is available at github.com/ChrisLass/blue-vault. It is vibe coded. Warning.
I did notice, I don't think you can type R in.
Yes, I fixed that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. R or there was Q. I don't think it was R or Q because they were grabbed by the UI.
I figured it must have been.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh yeah, right, of course. So this has been an interesting experience for me is what I really, and I tell me if I'm wrong, Wes, but what I really got away from this, what I took away from this experience is I got the core functionality working in about 45 minutes. And the UI and the edge cases and all the little things like you can't type R here is what took me 6 to 7 hours.
Yep. Which totally checks out. Yeah. You get the happy path done, right? You're like, oh, okay, yes, I connected the core pieces of what I needed together, got it to do it.
Yeah.
And then you realize that there's a whole bunch of ways that you have to like micro adjust to make sure that actually is smooth and usable by a human.
I mean, 6 hours is still pretty fast in considering what this is,
Yeah, a lot of the heavy lifting's been just tools underneath that have been around on Linux forever. So I got lucky that way, right? I'm just using, and then it's just,
you don't have to build something to burn the disk.
Right.
You just have to make sure you assemble the files and
right. Yeah.
I have some real world questions.
Okay.
In terms of, I'll just ask. How long does it take you to burn a 50 gig disk?
Yeah.
Good
How long
question.
does it take you to retrieve said disk?
So it's slower than I remember, I'll be honest with you. I expected it to be slow. I mean, and this isn't like the fastest drive either. It's a $50 external tiny thin USB drive, so they probably have faster ones. About 30 minutes, 35 minutes to burn a full disk, but I don't really often burn a full disk. So if you're doing about a half a disk, it's about 15 minutes. And then you restore at anywhere between 2 megabytes a second to 30 megabytes a second, depending on like where it is on the disk, how long the disk has been reading.
Sure.
It's one of those things where I don't know if you guys remember this, but it starts faster and then it kind of slows down over time a little bit. And that's true. You'll notice with the burn, because I do try to show as best as I can your transfer rate in the UI. And so you'll see it'll start pretty solid and then it sort of trickles down. It goes, I guess maybe as it goes wider and wider out on the disk, perhaps is what it is.
It's physics.
Yeah. But going through this has been an interesting, like reconnecting with physical media, thinking about documents and media that maybe I don't even need this year. And if I can buy from Newegg, at 3 cents a gigabyte, that's probably better than any storage I can get. And then I could take some stuff off my existing network storage and maybe squeak through the year. I don't know. What I would
feature a request?
Okay, yeah. Oh God. God.
Yeah, have you tried it yet? Have you tried it, Brett? We got to get this in your hand so you can break it.
But I have past experience that makes me imagine a feature request. Okay. And are you taking audio feature requests at this time?
Audio? Oh, you mean you're submitting it via audio instead of a P? Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
I just wondered, since, you just admitted that burning disks takes a little longer than transferring to hard drives, but that's okay. That's okay. This is long-term media. So does Blue Vault have the ability to manage multiple burn devices to do the burning?
Oh, that's a great idea.
You can stack up 5 of these or something and just let them go.
Maybe like once a month, you pick one up for the first 3 months of the year or something.
Multiplex it.
And then after the multi-disc, you have like 5 of these machines doing the burning to the multi-disc. So it's technically only to take it, they call it the whole process of one.
That is a fascinating idea.
You're welcome.
You need some serious USB bus power. Because these things, one of the things I've noticed is if you don't have a dedicated powered USB hub, your built-in port might not be enough.
Yeah.
And so the burn will fail in Blue Vault, not because of Blue Vault, but because the disk doesn't have enough juice. So I had to plug it into a externally powered hub in order to get enough juice.
So is that two,
there is a
3,
laser
4 discs when you figured that one out?
It was 2 discs. Yeah, I ended up like learning real quick some of the syntax to like just read if there's a file system at all on the disk. Because if there's a file system at all, you can't burn to it for BDRs at least. So. Yeah.
So does it burn to the data as is, or does it have like a way for, let's say you're burning some kind of movie or TV show, if it's like playable in a Blu-ray player?
No, it's only meant for like being able to the guiding principle was you could put it like on another Linux box in 10 years and just drag the files off.
Gotcha.
Because I don't really have anything anymore.
If you wanted
I
to
feel
play
like if
the
you're
movie, you would be
adopting
doing
all-
that and then dragging it
Yeah.
into Jellyfish.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you're, I'm just trying to see how far you're going down the optical media
Right.
like path, you know?
Well, I started thinking, I'm like, this is, how bad would it be to just have one of these on the TV and just that's not that bad. I started thinking about that. I think the other thing that'd be kind of a neat feature for this would be to just have it also manage archives to disk. Like if you had a bunch of old disks sitting around, although I don't know if I would trust those as much for long-term storage, but maybe to get you through the year, because it's still nice to have it organize the file system and track in the database what disk it's on and all of that. So that's another thing I was thinking about is like a larger storage, or you could have it go to a network mount or something like that. But so the multi-disk is new.
What would be interesting is if it had a way of like, I suppose it would it in multi-disk mode? Could you do recursively for like a whole folder path?
Yeah.
So you could like sort of have it, say, back up a system onto a couple of disks if you needed to.
You could, yeah. I mean,
and then just like have it run and piecemeal it all back together.
So when you start it, you tell what mode you want to go in, and you give yourself some notes. And then one of the second to final screens is you can manually enter a path, or there's a file browser you can tab down to and you can browse. And whatever top level you capture, it'll back up everything underneath that top level.
Okay.
So you could do your home directory too, or whatever. Yeah. And I actually was thinking that is what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one for my paperless, and all of that, and just put it on a shelf, maybe once a quarter, once a year, something like that. And if something goes wrong, I'll at least have that hard copy that I can refer to. And if it's in a standard file system format, then it'd be possible that if I want to recover that, say I want some document for some, reason, God forbid, I don't need to restore all of it into paperless. Maybe I just go get that one file.
Sure.
So that's why I like having it, even though you will sometimes have a Blu-ray where you didn't use all the space, maybe as efficiently. I think it's worth it.
I think this is a really interesting idea. And I also think it's kind of hilarious that it's vibe coded, because that means AI caused the problem and solved the problem.
That's a great point. There is no sponsor for this segment, but we do have our great members and, of course, our boosters. So I just want to take a moment and thank them, because at the beginning of the year, we're sorting out the deals. It can take a little while, and there are periods that if we didn't have the support of our members, we wouldn't have a show. And so I'm very grateful. And if you haven't signed up yet, I do still have the bootleg promo code. That's a fantastic deal. It's so good I don't say the price on air. But it gets you access to Linux Unplugged's bootleg feed and the no ads feed you get to pick, as well as the launch bootleg feed, which, much like this, has extra content that just doesn't make it in the main show. And there's always a little additional context in there, too. So thank you, everybody who supports us with a boost or with membership, because right now, you make the show possible. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And on with the show, gentlemen.
I see a little bag of boosts here, and we're going to start off with our baller, the Dude Abides. Now, the Dude Abides sent in a row of Mick ducks here, 22,222 sats.
This old duck still got it.
Stop suggesting awesome projects. I'm running out of resources. Metalurk X seems promising. I've seen it mentioned a couple times out in the wild, but didn't bother deploying it. And now, because of Linux Unplugged, I have to try it.
All right, the dude. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. You could set it up and let it just run for a week and then come back to it. And when you got time to tinker with it, because let it run and discover. I was, over the last couple of days, realizing that, so I've got, these stupid mesh APs. It's great, whatever. But IoT devices in particular are so dumb. and they will really lock into one particular AP. The decision in a mesh AP network happens on the client side. And if the client side isn't willing to move nodes, it won't. And so if the stupid IoT device that's way far away from the AP decides to connect to that AP, you basically have to take the mesh nodes offline and make things forcibly readjust.
Ooh.
Mess. So I was dealing with that. And it was really interesting to watch NetAlert X kind of catch up. Oh, this has moved over here. Oh, this device has changed over here. Like, oh, yeah, right. Good job, NetAlert X. You nailed it. So it's worth it. And you can just let it run for a bit and then come back around to it. Well, Adversary 17 comes in with a Spaceballs boost. That, of course, is 12,345 sats.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Adversary says, I have a lot of similar ability for monitoring within my unified dream machine, but I still might set this up. Good find, Mr. Fisher.
Hey, I think what you just said also works for this.
Yeah. I would love to hear more feedback on the Unify stuff. If our audience likes the Unify stuff.
I don't know how much it can pull in, but it did seem like that a plugin that could also, like if you wanted ended up wanting the Unify data in NetAlert.
Peanut butter and jelly, West Payne.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, our pal Gene Bean comes in with the Roboducks. In response to Olympia Mike and the Nix book project and the licensing question, Gene makes a great point, which we should have mentioned. Keep in mind that if you have contributors and don't also use a CLA or contributor license agreement from day one, you can't change the license of the existing code later without sign-off from all prior contributors.
Is Gene Bean saying go for the CLA? Something to think about. He's right.
And it's also just worth why, thinking about the licensing kind of early on and upfront is worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree. It is definitely a good point. Thank you, Gene.
Yeah, and not having a license, and some people don't create a project, don't put a license at all, and that just causes
that's a problem.
Massive craziness.
That's I think kind of where he's at. He's getting popular enough now where it's like people are asking rather consistently, "What's the license here?" So they know how to proceed. So, Mike, let us know what you end up doing.
Well, Odyssey Westra boosted in a couple boosts here for a total of 6,206 Satoshis.
Oh my God, this drawer is filled with Fruit Loops.
It turns out they all say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
The year of the Linux desktop.
Thank you, Odyssey. Nice to hear from you. PegDots here with 6,666 sats.
I don't understand what the heck is going on here.
Well, I'm guessing that Brent doesn't work for Nextcloud anymore. So what's he doing now? Is he a traveling salesman in his bang bus? As a JB member, I'd be interested to know how much financial value added as compared to the boost and streaming. Oh, okay. So we got 2 questions here, 3 questions. I know that the functions like Bitcoin value fluctuate. Difficult to put in numbers, but interested in a rough idea. So think of it. Okay, so I'll answer that one first. So this week where we have...
I think what the question was, how does boosting and streaming compare to memberships in terms of supporting the show or something like that?
Yeah, I think on average, we still probably get significantly more support through the membership mechanism on average. And so the way we can, and the thing about that is that's we look at as, okay, that's the revenue we can plan on.
Kind of a consistent baseline.
Yeah. And then the boost is like, okay, that's like when, you get a bonus, you did good, and that's like the extra stuff that goes directly to all of us because the show through the memberships is, it's barely paying the bills. And so it's not really equivalent. One sort of serves one function and one serves, and we're very, very lucky it worked out that way because really since COVID, the ad market has just been destroyed. But really in the last few years, it's perhaps turning around, but it's still very slow. And one thing that I think is very true is as the podcast market has grown, the sponsors are looking at different types of shows and different demographics than they were a few years ago when we were sort of in our heyday of, every spot was sold out. And it's just how it goes is, a podcast today is just a much different beast. Usually has a celebrity named attached to it if it's very successful. And
yeah, the ecosystem around it has changed. The ecosystem within has changed.
Yeah.
Who people and what they're marketing towards has changed.
Yeah, and so for us, it's like the two things are very symbiotic and used differently. So we really do appreciate both the support. And I know it's the thing is like, it's like I've kind of made the equivalency with Linux magazines. It's like it's a very niche thing. And there's a core audience that loves it. The fundamental economic model might not actually be viable with the direct commercial market because the scale of advertising on the internet now requires essentially millions. And so it's where these kinds of direct audience supported things really make a difference because it's then made possible by the very niche that's interested in it. And I don't think like the Linux magazines could have survived without something. They didn't have anything like that. And so, they went the way of the dinosaur for the most part. Good question. Oh, and then Brentley, do you have any comment on the Nextcloud stuff? Or besides being a full-time JBer, I'm sure you do other things as well. I don't.
Yeah, I would say good guess on the Nextcloud part. I haven't been a Nextclouder since about, May of last year and have been basically, what would you call it, Chris? Vagabonding since then, doing a bunch of JB projects there for a long time. We rescued, I don't know if you heard about it, rescued this crazy van that's still giving me projects on the daily basis.
You're kind of restoring that.
Something else we don't talk about with you, Brent, too, is you are a very handy guy. Brent, if Brent needs to work for a couple of days, there's friends and family that have projects where they need somebody who can go on site and do a lot of really good work with their hands, like good, intricate masonry type work. I don't know. Is that what it's called? What is it called, Brent, that kind of work?
I don't know, general construction work. I'm kind of a generalist.
Yeah, but you're a fancy boy one,
decades of experience, and I have high standards that most
attention to
people
detail.
don't have, I guess, right?
Yeah, craftsman. I think that's the word I was looking for.
Basically, just yesterday I was doing that. I had an uncle near here who was like, hey, I need some electrical work done, but I don't know what I'm doing. And last time I did it, I really screwed it up. So can you come over and fix all my mistakes that I've done for the last decade? And so we did that. And it worked out really
And that's
well.
like when you come over to my place.
The other thing you have to know
Exactly,
is Brent
it's the
has a
same
hard
thing.
time saying no to those kind of requests.
That's true, too. Yeah.
Because he's a kind and generous person.
Basically, I've been chasing, hanging out with people I love and chasing happiness instead of financial stuff. That leaves, my bank account sad, but my soul quite happy.
He's saying hanging out with people he loves, but he's on the opposite coast. I don't understand.
Message received.
My time with people I love.
Message received on that one. Okay. All right. Wes, you want to take Mr. Facial Hair?
Yes, the facial hair comes in with 6,000 sats.
Make it so.
I wanted to shine some light on an area where open source and Linux are doing quite well, and it's tabletop gaming.
Really?
For example, the D&D game I run uses Nextcloud for content hosting, Foundry VTT for our virtual table, and a self-hosted Jitsi for player comms. Just wanted to get your thoughts on this and see if y'all had any fun D&D stories.
Facial Hair, why do you suppose this is? What has attributed this phenomenon, and how can we replicate it?
Thank you for the report. That's great. There's a lot of great tools, and if you need to accomplish a certain set of things to have a good game going, why not solve them with open source?
You ever play any D&D?
Yeah, I like D&D. It's been a while, but I've played many. Never super consistent, but I've had many fun D&D experiences over the years.
Michael, you ever do any D&D?
I've never played D&D. No.
Yeah, same. Brent, what about you?
I have never participated. However, I have watched a lot of famous people play in the last couple months and have been invited several times, but I feel unprepared, let's say.
Maybe it's some sort of...
Well, I hope they're not inviting you to be the DM.
No, by far not. However, I still feel way out of my league.
Be interesting.
I feel like this is an opportunity that we could do a collab, just doing first timers doing D&D.
Like pair up first timer with a pro or something. I want to learn enough where I could just do commentary on the streams, he moves over here and does this. I don't know if it's more golf or if it's more wrestling for D&D, but
I think it's more golf maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
They have their own dialogue, so you don't want to interact too much. But there's actually a few. I haven't done play D&D, but I've seen random videos of people playing D&D because there's a couple shows that are on YouTube where it's just a bunch of comedians playing D&D, and that's entertaining stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
What's fun too, right, is they have all kinds of different types of games at this point. So one of the first ones I did was actually a Star Wars themed one that a roommate ran, and it's kind of a new roommate. And I came home and another roommate was working at a donut shop, and so they had all these end of the day donuts. Nice. So they'd pushed some of the taken a table out of a room and pushed it in with the main kitchen table, and the center was filled with donuts. And but I was coming home and I was like, "What is happening?"
That sounds like an awesome introduction.
It was a great introduction.
Not bad at all.
I would say if we want to do a JB D&D at some point, maybe a fun stream on the holidays or when we're all feeling like we don't have too much work, probably our buddy Jason would host
that'd be wonderful.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
He is a professional D&Der, so he would organize that for us if we wanted.
Why am I not surprised?
And he's listening right now, so hey, Jason.
Hello, Jason. All right, thank you everybody who supported the show, the members and the boosters.
Thank you for helping us help you help us all.
When you look at our SAT streamers, 22 of you stream SATs as you listen, and you collectively stacked 25,340 SATs. When you combine that with our boosters, it's a humble but appreciated 85,267 SATs. This can be a thing from time to time because the last 2 episodes, the sun was shining and
Crazy.
We
got sunburned.
We still have our skin peeling. You guys really blew us away. What does tend to happen is we kind of go into famine. We sort of feast and then we have famine
like a
for a
rain
bit.
shadow.
Yeah. So if you've been waiting to support the show, now could be a good time during the famine. We really do appreciate it. It's really easy to boost to something like Fountain FM. In fact, they're making it easier and easier, guys. It's getting crazy what they're doing with the new features. There's a whole self-hosted platform out there with things like AlbiHub and lots of good apps at podcastapps.com. Then you get additional features like transcripts, you get the cloud chapters, you get notifications within 90 seconds when a new episode is out. Additionally, there's all kinds of new things coming all the time like live stream support and more. So check it out at podcastapps.com. All right, now, the first pick this week, I think, Brentley, you spotted this one, and for a good reason, right? This was Copia, I think is maybe how you say it, a cross-platform backup tool for the various operating systems out there with some really nice features.
Yeah, I've been diving into Copia. It was mentioned a couple times by some of our listeners as a response to our several scattered backup episodes that we've done in the past.
And you could consider this one of them.
This is, here's your mini segment for, give us some feedback on what we're doing wrong. But I had a friend who ran into a situation where their laptop was stolen out of their apartment while they were there sleeping just overnight. And it turns out that person also had a thesis that was due in a week, and that was their only copy of pretty much all of the stuff they've created in the last couple years. Somehow, as a crazy story I won't tell here, they got it back. Like a random stranger came and gave the laptop back. I don't know really the whole story there. But anyways, so that situation got much better. But it got me thinking, well, I think my duty in this world is to help my friends with their backups. And I've been trying to do that for more than a decade. But it sounds like there's something to do here. So I wanted to set up a backup system for her that just kind of ran in the background. She never, ever, ever had to think about. And if this kind of situation happened, I can just kind of step in and help out. And Copia is sort of fit the bill on this one because usually I would reach for a Linux-only tool because I only do support for friends who run Linux. But she was, because her laptop was stolen, given a laptop by her parents, which is a Windows laptop. And she was like, I might just use it as is. So I figured, okay, I need something that's cross-platform. And Copia seemed to fit the bill there because the interface is just the same on a bunch of different platforms, the 3 ones we care about. And it also is serverless, which means, it could just kind of run on its own on a laptop, which is all that this friend in particular and many other friends I can think of and family members have. So I kind of started diving into Copia as maybe the next way I can help a bunch of people. And if I can just suggest one tool for all of them, that would make my life easier. So the things I loved about Copia is cross-platform, as I mentioned. It seems really quite modern. It's written in Go, which is nice and fast. But also there's a lot of people who've been contributing to it. I think I saw 170 contributors, which is something I always care about. But there's some cool stuff here. So it can back up to, Amazon S3 and Backblaze and those kind of things by default. But one thing I thought our little crew here would really love is it can also, if you have rclone installed, it can also control rclone as sort of an interface to rclone and support a lot of what rclone can do as a backend. So the options for backends is plenty, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a backend that doesn't work for you. And it just runs really well. The other thing I liked is the interface is super configurable if you want it to be, but it can also be fairly straightforward. So it's a nice blend for someone who's not that tech savvy who has it running, but then I can just pop in and make some adjustments whenever I need to.
That sounds like a low-key compliment, but this is the QA guy over here, right? So that means the interface wasn't riddled with a bunch of obvious bugs or defects or silly things.
Well, I found one or two, but they weren't critical. So we're all good.
Of course. Of course. Well, I mean,
I would say give it a try. I've been using Borg for myself for the last couple of years, and this actually is getting me to start thinking if I should switch to it permanently for my own stuff, too.
So not only does it have support for a lot of the cloud storage providers we've all heard of, but then, as you might expect, it also has support for any WebDAV or SFTP, or like Brent said, Arclone support too, which really opens it up. So that's pretty nice because, you know, you could have one person you're helping that uses their Dropbox and another person you're helping uses their Google Cloud storage, but it's the same interface and option sitting on top of that.
You don't have to keep learning new tools.
Yeah. It's Apache 2 is the license on that. And yes, it does save everything encrypted locally before it sends them up to the cloud provider. Nice one, Brent. Good find. Sorry to hear about that story with the laptop. That's awful.
Yeah, and it's really a thanks to the audience for suggesting this one. I had it noted for future reference, and the future is now.
Aha, isn't it funny? Later becomes now. Well, since I was talking, Blu-rays and whatnot, you could also just go a little simpler with something called Power ISO. It's not a free software app, but it is available for Linux. And you can probably guess what this does. It's a application for burning your disks and making your file systems and all of that, creating virtual drives or bootable disks or whatever you want. I think people even use it somehow to make Windows USB boot disks. I couldn't speak to that. But it's an application that very much invokes a 90s design. In fact, the screenshot is from a Vista era Windows desktop. So that's how you know it's good, right? Because if you're dealing with something that burns disks, you want to have a retro look. That's why I went with an 80s TUI, and they have a very 90s or maybe early aughts Vista theme. But they just released a new version on October 24th, 2025, so the project is still very active and is free and works. Tried it out. So this is, more akin to like the typical things you might have back in the day to burn your disks and stuff, that kind of thing.
Well, I have a pick here as well. Oh, Brent, did you want to?
You're probably doing the same thing I'm about to do, so you go.
No,
Well, I think I have a pick from the chat room. They suggested a project, Chris, when you were talking about your Blue Vault.
Yeah.
That is this Teleco project.
Oh, Teleco.
Looks like
Teleco's awesome.
It looks like it does a bunch of I don't quite know. Does anybody else know it better than I do? Because I'm just going to wing it.
Teleco is a KDE project.
Yeah.
And it's basically it's more of an inventory system. It's not really it's not really a database tracking thing, but it's like a manual inserting of keeping track of basically anything you want some information about. So you could, use it to track your documents, but also in a sense of labeling everything, or your music could be associated, or your books could be associated, all sorts of stuff. It's more of just a overall collections of anything. So if you have digital comic books or something, you could use it as a keeping track of that sort of stuff. But it's more of a manual setup.
Yeah, I did seriously consider it. I have it installed on all my machines, and I was playing around with it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a good.
I used to use it, but I got kind of burned out on the manual part of it. So
yeah, it's worth checking out though if people are interested. So I'll toss a link to that in the show notes too. But Wes, that wasn't what you had up your sleeve, was it?
It was not. No. So okay. Well, you were getting the coding done, or the vibing done, whichever it was.
Yeah.
I was trying to test it, right? And so I was getting it to build, checking it did build on my machine. I wanted to try it. There was a few things we had to fix, in particular some tests.
I'm betting you probably didn't have a stash of Blu-rays.
No. And this, I was using this laptop, and it doesn't even have an optical drive.
No.
So I finally get it built, and I go and run it, and the first thing it does is say, "Hey, buddy, you don't have an optical drive. I'm not doing anything."
Yeah. After you had a problem with that, by the way, that inspired me to add drive detection now. So it accommodates all kinds of different systems with different drive setups.
Oh, nice.
So you did inspire a new feature.
Okay, good. And so I was like, okay, well, I could always spin up a virtual machine. That'd be pretty easy. But I was just curious, well, how hard is it to just emulate one of these, right?
I should have thought
And so I found CDEMU.
Well, and it looks like as recent as of July 8th, 2018, version 3.2 is out.
Yeah, it has a website that's appropriately old looking, though, right? I think you'll see.
It definitely fits the
So
90s
it's retro,
vibe.
yeah.
What is with all these different tools having such a retro thing?
I don't know. I leaned into it too. I like it.
And I mean, it's like a super simple little UI. They have a GUI for it.
Okay.
So you run a daemon that does the emulation.
Is
right?
it a TUI?
No.
Oh.
Oh, there's a CLI app that's a client
The
for it.
disappointment in your voice.
But they have like a nice little like classic,
Oh, an actual GUI.
Yeah.
Like a real GUI.
like a real GUI.
Oh. Well, that's fancy. That is really fancy. It actually looks GTK, perhaps?
Yeah,
Just glancing at it there?
I would suspect so.
Yeah, okay.
But what's cool is it's open source.
Yeah. That is cool.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, but you can.
And it still works, even though it hasn't had an update in a while, right? Obviously. Oh, no, actually, some of this stuff on GitHub has been updated a little more recently, at least.
GPL2. So it does both sides. So not only can you load in ISOs and it looks like you have a CD in there, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
And like even it'll just present an empty one, but you can create blanks and it shows up as writable.
Oh.
So I was able to test your program end to end without having to drive at all.
Meanwhile, I'm over here buying 10 packs.
And then it leaves an ISO file on the file system that I could then mount and check that it got all the files.
You could have told a guy this, I don't know, the other day before I bought another pack of Blu-rays for more testing.
So you should see if you can get the LLM to make us some NixOS integration tests.
Right, with
that
this.
run the full thing and try to burn. Because
I
there's a
feel like you
NixOS
do
service
need-
for it.
You do need to have the full testing for
yeah.
the discs, yeah. So it's like, I mean, this would have saved a little bit of time, but you still need to burn and waste anyway.
What hurts the most is like when it starts a burn and fails almost immediately, and I get like one stripe, and then you can never use the disc again. And I've used like 400 kilobytes of 50 gigs, and I'm like, you gotta
What
be
about,
kidding me.
have you looked at the price in terms of like gigabytes to, like the discs or like rewritable Blu-rays?
Yeah, that's a good idea. That is. I was thinking much like, cold storage, but rewritable would be handy too. Well, this is pretty neat. CDEMU. And it is at cdemu.org. We'll put a link in the show notes. I'm gonna look at this, Wes, after the show. I wish you would have told me about it earlier, but I'm glad to know about it now. I can't believe that. It's so stupid too. I guess, learn and it's what it really comes down to, of course, is there's just a lot of little parameters you got to pass the burn command.
Yep. And as you said, right, it kind of attunes you more to doing like test-driven development.
Yeah. That was one of the things I was telling Wes is as I started doing this, I'm like, well, I better just figure out a way to test this because I can't every time I need to run through this thing, burn a disk. So I had to create a bunch of little unit tests for individual functionality so I could test everything I could before I actually had to burn.
I feel like this also perfectly describes your different approaches to solving a problem. This would always be the West approach. And
Yeah.
well, Chris,
Yeah.
physical media, right?
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to take a look at it, you should be able to just pick right up and get working with it. I'd love somebody to help me with some of the basic features and run through it. Or if anybody wants to triage PRs or issues as they come in, I'd appreciate any of that. And we'll have it linked in the show notes. It's gonna happen.
Do you need disc donations?
Maybe eventually. Well, I bought another pack, so I'll be good for a little while. I haven't actually backed anything up yet. I mean, I have in testing backed things up, but And every time I wanted to use like unique stuff so I could test that the database search was working. So it's like a lot of me copying files off the NAS to my local system and waiting for all of that to copy and then waiting for it to burn. Oh my goodness. Software development is ridiculous. I don't know how anybody does this crap. I'll tell you what. All right, well, that's it for us. We'd love to hear from you. Of course, you can send us a boost or go to linuxunplugged.com/contact. You could also make it a Tuesday on a Sunday and join us live. The Mumble Room is kicking right now, and we have our live chat. Of course, we do this on Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.
Wes, you got like a hot power tip for them if they want any extra metadata or context around we talked about things like, you got any hot tips, Wes?
Oh, yeah. How about like a magical JSON file that lets you skip around via the use of chapters, cloud chapters too, right? So it's last decade's hype word built into the chapters.
What it really means is if we screw up, we can fix it and you get the fix.
That's right. Yeah, you don't have to download a new MP3. Yeah. You just get the new fix.
Which is great for us. Yeah.
But better than that, we've got transcripts.
That is
so
better,
you
isn't
can
it?
scrub through the whole thing, If you can't hear us and you just want to get a sense of what we said in the episode, you want to index it, you want to search it.
You know what we've never made a call out for? And if anybody's looking for a 2026 software project, it'd be really neat to make those searchable. Have a front end that sits on top of them. Every transcript is linked in the RSS feed, sitting out at an endpoint that you could pull in. And if anybody wants to make a searchable database out of that so people can find keywords, what we talked about, that'd be a really helpful tool. We'd really appreciate that. Links to everything we talked about today, yep, those are on our website. You know that, linuxunplugged.com/649er. That'll get you the links for what we talked about today. Lots of great episodes over there. In fact, you might even say an entire back catalog of a whole 648 episodes, if you can believe it. I couldn't believe it. Lots of great shows over at, well, at least a few good shows over at jupiterbroadcasting.com. We always appreciate if you check those out, too. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Your Unplugged program. And you're going to see us right back here next week.
How you use it. Yes, it is hammer time.
Okay, thank you, Drew. I'll stop, gentlemen. We can stop right there. It's the end.